If I told you there are animals capable of outsmarting a fox, solving a puzzle faster than a toddler, and remembering your face for years, would you think of dolphins, chimpanzees, or maybe dogs? Surprisingly, I'm talking about two feathered creatures you've probably seen in your neighborhood or in a pet shop window, the humble crow and the colorful parrot. Today, we're putting them face to face, a friendly duel for lifelong curiosity seekers. If you enjoy learning at a clear, unhurried pace, subscribe and stay with us. Let's start by throwing a myth out the window. Calling someone a bird brain is used to say they don't think well. But today, we know that many birds, especially crows and parrots, have neuronal densities and brain circuits capable of astonishing feats. So using bird brain as an insult is as misguided as calling an octopus a fish. Crows and parrots have brains that, although tiny compared to ours, are packed with neurons at an extraordinary density, especially in the forebrain, the area responsible for complex thinking, planning, and problem-solving. If we could magically scale a crow's or parrot's brain up to human size, its neuronal density would rival that of many primates. In other words, they've compressed a supercomputer into something the size of a walnut. Within the corvid family, crows display a finely tuned brain architecture for rapidly solving problems in the wild, often using tools and anticipating the steps they'll take. Parrots, on the other hand, incorporate an additional structure, the medial spiriform nucleus, linked to their astonishing capacity for vocal learning and their social intelligence. Think of it like this. The crow is that friend who can fix a car with nothing but duct tape and a screwdriver. The parrot is the friend who not only fixes the car, but also tells you hilarious stories in 3 languages while doing it. If we measure intelligence by how specific problems are solved, crows have a permanent spot at the top of the podium. In the wild, the New Caledonian crow has earned a MacGyver reputation by making hooks from stripped and carved twigs to extract larvae hidden in tiny cracks in the bark. They've also been observed trimming leaves, such as pandanus leaves, to create stepped tools with a functional edge. And in a famous experiment, a female named Betty improvised a hook by bending a straight wire to pull a food container out of a tube. In cities, many crows have also learned to take advantage of traffic. They drop hard-shelled nuts onto the roadway and retrieve them once cars have cracked them, often during red light stops. It's not magic, it's pure feathered engineering. In the lab, crows have been shown to solve hydraulic problems with ingenuity. They drop objects into containers to raise the water level and reach a reward that would otherwise be out of their grasp. In captivity, crows have also been observed using small containers like cups to handle and transport water. They are true innovators when survival is on the line, capable of inventing solutions on the fly. Parrots, for their part, may not be as famous for making tools in the wild, but they boast a different kind of brilliance. Give a parrot a padlock and it becomes a feathered locksmith. They've been seen opening cage latches, undoing safety carabiners, and taking toys apart piece by piece just to figure out how they work. Some do it purely for entertainment, not because they want to escape, but because they can. If we're talking about unlocking, the documented record belongs to Goffin's cockatoos. They solved a box with 5 chained fastenings, removing a pin, unscrewing a screw, pulling out a bolt, turning a wheel, and sliding a latch, until they reached the reward. It wasn't a fluke. They learned the sequence, avoided repeated errors, and adapted when researchers changed the order of the mechanisms. New Zealand Kie also stand out in sequential tasks and in social learning to open multi-step mechanisms. However, the most famous experiment on complex locks is that of the Goffin's cockatoos. Even so, Kia shine for their flexible reasoning and for solving chained challenges one after another. And among the great talkers, African gray parrots show astonishing fine dexterity. In captivity, they've been seen unscrewing caps and manipulating containers. And in the lab, an individual named Griffin outperformed 6 and 8-year-old children, and even matched college students in a complex version of the cups game that measures visual working memory. Let's talk about memory. Because a brain isn't just about solving puzzles, it's also about remembering solutions. Crows display what's called episodic-like memory. They remember not only where they hid food, but when they did it and what kind of food it was. They also steal from other crows, and since they know the game, they re-hide their loot in secret. Perhaps their most unsettling and curiously human trait is the ability to remember faces. A crow can recognize you years later, especially if you did something bad to it. It will scold you with caws, dive bomb you, and even recruit its friends to harass you. Yes, crows hold grudges. Meanwhile, parrots excel in prodigious long-term memory for social relationships and sounds. A parrot can remember a specific word, a song, or even a joke for decades. They also recall the emotional context. They'll remember how you made them feel. Keep this in mind. Crows retain the details of events and use them to plan strategically. Parrots retain the stories, the voices, the bonds. They build an emotional and social map of their world. To begin with, it's helpful to separate two ideas. Almost all animals communicate, but human language is something else. It combines sounds into sequences with rules, creates new words when we need them, and allows us to talk about things that aren't present. Birds don't reach that full level, but some, like crows and parrots, display surprisingly rich communication systems, with calls that identify individuals, signals that warn of specific dangers, and repertoires that are socially learned. Crows use calls with practical meaning. They differentiate between alarm calls, recruitment to drive away a predator, assembly calls, and contact sounds to avoid getting lost in flight. Their voices change depending on the situation. Warning about a hawk in the air isn't the same as warning about a dog on the ground. They also learn and transmit new signals within the group, which creates something like local dialects. And yes, they can recognize human faces and associate them with experiences. That's why their scolding calls at a specific person can persist for years and spread to other crows that didn't witness the incident. Parrots are natural vocal learners. They don't just imitate sounds, they craft their sonic identity. In many species, each individual uses its own contact call that functions almost like a name. When a flock member becomes separated, the others can call to it using that vocal signature, and it replies with its own. In pairs, some parrots perform duets. They alternate phrases and rhythms to strengthen their bond. Their ease in reproducing human words arises from this learning machinery, and although repeating doesn't always mean understanding, in training contexts, some parrots can associate labels with objects, colors, or simple quantities. This is where crows and parrots shine, each in their own way. Crows are masters of planning, especially when it comes to food. In experiments, scientists have offered them a choice between an immediate treat or keeping a tool they could use hours later to obtain a much greater reward. Time and again, crows beat the temptation. They save the tool and return later to use it. Something most animals struggle with. And, to be honest, so do many humans. And then there are their mental maps. Crows cache food in dozens, sometimes hundreds of different places. Months later, even when snow erases any landmarks, they still find their stashes. It's not chance. They precisely remember where they deposited each cache. More impressive still, they can keep track of whether other crows were watching them when they hid the food. If they feel eyes on them, they sometimes sneak back and move their reserve elsewhere. That's not just memory. It's a kind of strategic paranoia that implies imagining what another bird might be thinking. Parrots, for their part, use memory to solve very different challenges. In the wild, flocks of macaws traverse vast stretches of rainforest in search of specific trees that bear fruit only during a brief window each year. They remember exactly when and where they will fruit and lead their group to those spots at the perfect moment. True living calendars with wings. In captivity, parrots showcase that memory in games and puzzles. An African gray parrot named Griffin was presented with a shell game using cups. Food was hidden under one, the cups were shuffled multiple times, and he had to follow it. Not only did he track the reward through multiple switches, he also succeeded even after a deliberate distraction was introduced midway through the test. Here, a key difference emerges. Many parrots are deeply social. They organize into large, fluid flocks with communal roosts and strong pair and group bonds. Their world runs on social memory and vocal identity. Each individual has a signature in its call that others recognize, and that information helps them decide whom to travel with, eat with, or meet up with. More than gossip, it's useful social information. They listen to others, detect leaders, and adjust their decisions accordingly. Crows, although social as well, tend to move in smaller, looser family groups, especially outside the breeding season. Their social skills focus more on coordinating in the moment, for example, mobbing a hawk together, than on maintaining lifelong bonds. But that independence brings its own advantage. Crows are self-sufficient strategists, capable of surviving in very different environments without constant group support. It's the difference between thriving within a tight-knit tribe and standing out as a lone traveler who knows how to forge alliances when needed. Play is one of the clearest signs of an active mind. Crows and parrots love it, but they experience it differently. Crows slide down snowy rooftops, play tug-of-war with sticks, and even pass objects to other animals. Some have been seen playing with dogs. They drop a stick and retrieve it in what suspiciously looks like a game of fetch and release. Parrots are just as playful, though with a social twist. They toss toys back and forth, invent call and response games, and even prank their caretakers. Some have been caught mimicking a phone's ringtone, waiting for you to pick up, and bursting into laughter. For both, play is more than fun. It's a way to learn, test limits, and strengthen relationships. Are parrots or crows the ultimate survivors? Crows are masters of urban life. They nest on skyscrapers, rummage through trash, and learn human schedules to avoid danger. They adapt to new food sources in a matter of days and can take advantage of almost any environment. Parrots, especially those living in the wild, are more tied to specific habitats. Although some species do well in cities, many are specialists. They depend on very specific diets or nesting sites. Their great adaptability shines in social problem-solving rather than environmental versatility. So, who is more intelligent? The most honest way to answer is to explain what we mean by intelligence. It isn't a single grade. It's a set of abilities that each species combines differently. If we change the test, the winner changes. Think of 3 fronts. First, physical problem solving, the kind that requires understanding objects, causes, and effects. That's where the crow usually excels, a specialist in analyzing new situations and finding the maneuver that releases the reward. Second, social management and communication. Many parrot species live in large, shifting groups. They need to coordinate, recognize each other by voice, and maintain harmony. In that realm, their strength is turning social information into useful decisions for the group. Third, memory and anticipation. Both score high, but with different biases. Crows shine when it's about planning and remembering where, when, and how to exploit a resource. Parrots stand out when it's time to remember who's who, when to move, and how to keep the group together. With this in mind, the question, who is more intelligent, translates to, for what situation? If the challenge is a technical puzzle, the crow has the edge. If the challenge is keeping a collective coordinated and communicating with precision, the parrot is on home turf. There isn't an absolute champion. There are champions by discipline. The takeaway is simple. Nature doesn't make a single best brain. It tunes minds to the problems each species must solve. That's why, instead of searching for a podium, it's better to appreciate 2 different kinds of lucidity that work wonderfully in their own context. And that's all for today. If this video made you admire these animals even more, I invite you to subscribe to